decisions, the more of a winner you're going to become. Thank you very, very much for the question. So that leads us on to the next question, which says, why do some parents let their 18-year-old kids do whatever it is that they want? What a question. Wow, I love that question. Okay, so great question. Thank you very much for the question. Let me answer the question. So I've wrote down loads of things for this. There's so many different reasons for this, but let me begin off with a few. So the first reason is that mind your own business. That's genuinely the first question. The first thing that I would share with you. So why are you asking about why other people are 18 and their parents are allowing them to do whatever it is that they want? It's none of your business. Mind your own business. And I say that to you because we're living in a world at the moment where, in my opinion, many of the problems that are occurring in the world are a result of people making problems that are not theirs their problems, right? You see somebody on Instagram who has been, I don't know, somebody's been racist towards him. Now it's become your problem, right? And what I would share with you is, don't make things that are not your concern, which leads me to the second thing, which is connected to that, which is that I've come to realize in life that every single one of us has one problem which we are supposed to solve. So when I was in school, we used to like play football and we used to play different sports. And what would usually happen is we would have two captains at lunchtime or on our break, and we'd have two captains, and the captains would start picking random people to come on each side. So one person would say Phil, Ben, Chris, Richmond, loads of people. And eventually you'd have like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 people on each team. But then somebody would come out and say, whoa, 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 guys, whoa, 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 these teams are unbalanced. You can't have 5 players on your team who are all like amazing, and then we have like 7 players on our team who are all like threes. They're all below average. No. We need to swap a few people around. So then the teams would start swapping people. So they take 2 amazing players and put them on the other side. They take 2 average players and put them on the other side, which would level the playing field. This is essentially what I believe every single one of us is supposed to do in life. There is an area of life which we're supposed to level out, which we're supposed to fight, which we're supposed to try and level the playing field on. Now, in doing that, that also means that you're going to have to disregard all the other problems that occur. There are so many issues and so many problems on the planet and so many things that are going wrong. The issue is you can't make all of them your problem, because you will never be able to make a big enough dent in order to make improvement in those areas. The only way that you make a dent in the universe, you make a dent in an area, is to focus all of your time and attention on it. So for example, you look at me, my thing is to help people get onto the path of becoming more aware so that they can become higher, fuller expressions of themselves, so that they can start getting some of the things that they want. Everything that I do in my life is around how can I help people become more aware? How can I help people get on that path where they start reading, they start self-development, where they start looking at themselves? What can I share with them? Can I write a book? Can I do a video? Can I do a podcast? What can I do? That is my area. Everything else outside of this is not my concern. That is for somebody else to solve. Now that sounds crazy, but the issue that I have is there are people in Africa where girls don't go to school because they have such heavy periods and there are no tampons. There is climate change, there is HIV, there is a lack of water, there's problems to do with there not being electricity in a lot of countries in Africa. There's people who don't have access to the internet. There are people who are suffering with mental health. I could go on and on and on and on. There are so many problems. I'm one guy. I can't solve all these problems. And so what I would share with you is that you want to get away from that mindset of making other people's problems your problems. Okay? Focus on what is important to you and disregard everything else. listen, when I say disregard everything else, that doesn't mean that you're not aware of it. That doesn't mean clearly if you can, you know, you can become influential, or you can say something that's important, or you can share something to spread a word that you shouldn't. But what I'm saying is, don't convolute yourself and make what is not important what important to you, right? So that's the second thing that I would share with you. When I say that to you, because it's so important, right? What other people, when if you continue playing this game of focusing on things that are not of your concern, you're just going to end up becoming a loser. You're going to end up becoming resentful because you're going to be so distracted by other shiny things that you're going to end up in a state where you're not productive, where you're not doing consistent, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing every day so that you can get ahead, so that you can gain momentum, so that you can achieve success, so that you can ultimately become a winner. You're not going to be able to do that because you keep getting distracted by this and by that and by this shiny thing and by that problem and that person and that. No. Choose one area and focus in that area. Next thing that I would share with you is that consciousness. A lot of parents allow their children to do whatever it is that they want because most parents aren't conscious. Most parents aren't really attuned to what is going on with their children. You know, I said in a different question, I shared that a lot of parents are not really attuned to their child today. A lot of parents, once they have a child, and when they're having children, they read loads of books and do loads of research on milk, on breastfeeding, on sleeping patterns, etc. But once their child kind of gets past age 4, 5, 6, most parents stop researching this stuff. And what ends up happening is they become out of touch with who their child is. So when your child is 18 years of age, they've gone through puberty, they have gone through tantrums, they've gone through like trying to figure loads of different hairstyles, loads of different clothing. They're trying to figure out who they are. And a lot of parents simply aren't attuned to their child. And what they're trying to do is appease their child instead of giving their equipping their child, giving their child what they need in order to get forward. And at 18, a lot of parents think, well, let me make it easier for my child, which leads me actually to the next thing, which is that a lot of parents give their child what they never had, right? There is a tendency for many parents to give their children what they never had instead of equipping their children so that their children can go for what they want to have, right? Most parents say, well, if I didn't go to university, I want to ensure my son can go to university. And so what ends up happening is their dream or their lack of dream or what they missed out on, they end up projecting it on their child. And because, of course, children have this really strong desire to be accepted and loved by their parents, children will become whoever they need to become in order for their parents to love them, to accept them, right? That's why a lot of kids, they need their father's blessing to get married, to go to university, we go to our parents for advice because number one, they know usually a lot more than us and they have a better perspective, but also so that we can get that affirmation, we can get that approval. And, you know, I have this belief, which is that all of us have two dreams in life. The first dream is the dream that our parents had for us. So they wanted us to go to university. They wanted us to be good at football. They wanted us to have children so that they can become grandparents. They wanted us to be great speakers, whatever it may be. And then the second dream that we have is a dream that we have for ourselves, right? We want to become pianists. We want to go traveling. We want to go to loads of festivals, whatever it may be for us. And a lot of us, what we don't end up doing is we don't end up divorcing our parents' dream for us so that we can marry our own. And the thing that I say to people is, you have to be so intelligent and so on board that if your parents don't cut the ties between you and them, and particularly related to your dream, that you end up cutting the tie yourself. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is that you're going to end up 20 or 30 and you're going to end up resenting your parents. Because you're like, how can they be so selfish, right? And you might not be conscious or aware enough to even realize that you're doing this because you want your parents to desire, to accept you, that you want your parents to say, yeah, you're doing a great job, son, you chose a great career. You might not even realize that. You might not even ever think like that. And so you have to be so intelligent and realize, okay, is me living at home at 27 really healthy? I don't know. I don't think so. Is me being 18 years of age and never having had a job really good? I don't think that's good. I need to go and get a job. I know my mum gives me money. I know my parents have bought me this or bought me that, but I have to be so intelligent that I don't fall into this trap. Because, well, what happens if I haven't had any experience of any job by 21 and then I go to apply for a job? They're going to ask me, what's your experience? And I'm going to say, I don't have any. What's going to be the difficulties? I'm going to be, at 21, that means I'm going to be competing with some people and trying to get a job with some people who've had 3 or 4 jobs in the time that I've never had a job. They've been a paper boy, they've worked part-time in Waitrose, in Tesco's, they've worked in Subway, they've worked in a bar, whatever it may be, and I haven't had a single job in that time. Whoa, whoa. That's an issue. Do you see what I'm saying? So you've got to be so intelligent as to think about that kind of stuff. The other thing that I would share with you about parents giving their children what they want is it's really hard to say no to your children, right? And it's difficult to explain this to somebody who hasn't had kids. When you have kids, it's really hard to say no to your kids because you want to give them what they want, right? And we're driven to want to give our children what they want and to help them become successful. We want them to be happy. And so if you can, it's really hard to say no. This is why I say the parent has to be so attuned to themselves that they have to be able to sometimes say no to their child because they realize the damage it could cause 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the line. But if a parent is so convoluted in they're going through a divorce, they are unhappy at the moment in their marriage, they're unhappy with their body, they're getting stressed out at work, most parents would never think about that kind of stuff. What's my child going through? What is this going to do to my child in 5 years' time? What's happening around in the environment at the moment? How much competition is there? Are they going to want to buy a house in the future? Like, it's tough. You've actually got to be like really intelligent to think about this kind of stuff. It isn't stuff that just appears. It's stuff that you have to think about. So I hope that kind of answers the question a little bit and gives you some level of insight. But there's loads of reasons, basically. And I could go on and on and on and on and on. But thank you very much for the question. Okay, so that kind of leads us